Hello Year 10. So this is just a quick video to help you with the final task. Just looking at how is India trying to solve the problems caused by rapid development. Last lesson you looked at what some of these problems were. Now we're going to have a look at what can be done about it and what problems would they solve. On the screen then we have on the left hand side over here we have the problems that you were dealing with last lesson, looking at all of the issues that this rapid development can cause. Over on the right hand side, we have some of the solutions which could be put into place. There is some reading on the Firefly page for you that you need to read through, and you should have listed some of these from your reading. Now, what I would like you to do is to look at these solutions that you can see on the right hand side, and then just to write a brief explanation of how this can help reduce the negative impacts of rapid development. So in your explanations, you need to try and link it in to the issues over here. So, for example, improving water supply and sanitation. Well, which problems is that going to help with? Well, it might be to increase public health, because the lack of water pollution will mean that they'll have clean drinking water, which will mean that people will be healthy. Also, it could be the case of that it would save money for the healthcare because people aren't getting ill as much. And also, if people aren't ill, then they can go to school, go to work more, and be more productive. So that might be the explanation that you put in here. So what you're trying to do is link in these improvements to some of the problems and explaining how these improvements would deal with some of these problems. Now, some of them, the education and healthcare, is obviously going to be a lot easier because this is relating to people with a better education might be able to get better jobs. And with more healthcare, life expectancy will increase. And again, it can help productivity because people are at work and school more. If you're improving the communication infrastructure, this would be things like broadband, mobile phones, so people can get in touch with each other. As we've seen through the pandemic, Wi-Fi and broadband is so important in terms of education, but it's also very important in terms of businesses being able to work and communicate. It can also be important for healthcare in that people can get in touch. If you have efficient public transport, then this means that people can travel easier, and it can also deal with the pollution which you would get from people making their own way in cars. And also, if you have old buses, these are going to create a lot of pollution. So public transport is a key solution in all cities around the world, but even more so in places like Mumbai in India. We've also seen that there are many problems to do with slum housing, because people move to the big cities like Mumbai, but they can't afford any of the property. So they just find a bit of wasteland, waste materials, and build their slum developments. So the aim is to build these affordable housing areas where there can be the electricity and the water and the sanitation in there. And so people can have a better quality of life because they're healthier and they have access to those basic needs. Improving the global trade relations through groups such as the G20 or the BRICS group, which is Brazil, Russia, India and China. By improving these trade relationships, it means that their economy can develop. They can import and export a lot more, but it also means that they have access to education and information, such as the designing and building of renewable energy sources like solar, water and wind power, and they can share that information. And that also links into developing cleaner and renewable energy, because we know that pollution, both air, water, ground pollution, is a major problem, as well as the chemicals, but also the use of burning fuels is causing a big issue in terms of climate change. And then finally, encouraging the use of appropriate technologies. Now again, this is using sort of small scale, less expensive technology to be able to solve some of the issues. For example, it may be, instead of having a big sewerage network, it might be building drop toilets where all of the waste can be gathered and it doesn't go into the rivers. So there are lots of different things that you can write about, but the key is to link together the problems and the solutions. So good luck.